So I am delighted to welcome Yomi Tejumola from Algo Marketing to the Business of AI podcast this morning. And Yomi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Tim. Really excited to be here.
Great. Well, I've got lots of questions for you about what you're doing, but let's start off by finding out a bit more about you and how you set up and what Algo Marketing does.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with Algo Marketing, and what Algo Marketing does is we have the largest number of AI savvy, AI trained, and also certified talent, particularly marketing talent. And these are people who have learned how to use AI to really drive growth within the teams they work with. They're building AI agents for themselves, but they're also marketers. These are marketers through and through who have really learned how to use AI as a collaborative partner. So these people, or our talent, our collective of talent, they yearn to find other forward-thinking businesses to work with, to show their innovation, to show how to use AI to impact growth. So the likes of hyperscalers like Google, OpenAI, Zoom, Stripe, they all rely on us. They rely on our marketing talent to future-proof their teams, to help them also have internal AI adoption growth. My background, how I got into this, my background is in data science. So I was a data scientist at Google, supporting marketing teams across different parts of Google. I was building machine learning models, AI models, or automations to help marketing teams be more self-reliant, and also to help reduce repetitive work and mundane work that the marketers were facing.
Fascinating background. Well, I'd love to dig into that a bit further, but maybe we start off by looking at skills, because the skills is fundamental to being able to develop talent. And you've worked in some of these very large organizations, including Google, as you mentioned, but you also now work with customers who are in these large organizations. Could you talk me through what the key skills are that you're seeing these large organizations are looking for, particularly within the broader AI sector? And how have those skills changed over the last year? What are the trends you're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. I can speak to our vertical or our function, which is around go-to-market teams, right? So marketing, sales, customer service. And give an example with marketing, marketing has become a very data-heavy role. So if you think about the transformation or the evolution of marketing from perhaps the days of Don Draper from the Mad Men era, to what it looks like now, right? Back then it was very creative, very collaborative, and so on. But marketing has really sort of evolved into a very data-heavy role, right? So because of that journey, one of the key vital skills that these organizations look for are just your data literacy. And it's data literacy in not just being able to pull out insights from data, but also being able to tell a story about the data, right? How data storytelling, how to create compelling stories that incite action from data. There's also a key skill is also being able to negotiate and collaborate with other functions. So within go-to-market teams, there is usually a tension between marketing and sales functions. And that's because of, and it's just based out of being able to negotiate. It's out of negotiating, collaborating to find ways to align with other teams.
Yeah, no, I chuckle then when you're talking about that, because my background long ago was in the marketing team, and I know exactly that tension you're talking about between sales and marketing. And often, to massively simplify it, the sales team will want to have more leads, And the marketing team, their primary job is creating leads, but there's never enough leads to go through to one to the other. And then, to think about this from a data perspective, as you say, that's where I think things have started to be joined up now, because the marketing industry has marketing professionals have become much more data literate. And so they're actually kind of very focused on how they can bring in those leads, how can they track those leads in a CMS, in a CRM, pass them over to the sales team, and then get involved in all of the, I'm going to use a whole bunch of acronyms, but I know you'll know them, but our audience, MQLs, SQLs, conversion ratios, all of those kind of things now. So to your point you made earlier on, marketers have just become much more data focused. But I think there is a sort of going back to some basics there as well, right? Because I set up something called IDM Online, which was the online version of the Institute of Direct and Digital and Data Marketing. And they reminded me when we came in, and this was like 15 years ago, so when I came in, that actually data marketing and direct marketing used to be a thing back in the 80s and 90s, but it was really unsexy, right? It was called below the line. Everyone wanted to do the TV ads and the sexy ads in the cinema and radio and that kind of stuff. But below the line, where you were actually going through databases and spreadsheets back in the 90s, that was very uncool. And they reminded me that actually that's where the roots of a lot of the data science that's now used in marketing technology came from, that then powered all of the systems, which were then now suddenly in the noughties and the early teens, they became really popular again. That all of those skills. So absolutely, sort of agree with that. But just sorry, building on, go on,
Yeah, no, just to build on, sorry, maybe you were going to go for it, but an idea just came as you mentioned, that is that we're now actually going full circle, right? Because what we've seen is as marketing became more data heavy and more, analytics heavy, to some degree, that took out the excitement from marketing, right? Because it was becoming so data heavy, people relying on that data, marketers were kind of more focused on churning out campaigns, churning out volume to support the data, and down went sort of imagination, that creativity, experimentation part of marketing. But now with AI, what we're seeing is as marketers are able to, in some ways, outsource that data heaviness and that sort of, that part of their role to AI to do the, insights, to do the recommendations on what campaigns and so on. Marketers are now given the time or given more of the bandwidth to be able to think more deeply about their customer experiences, right? And they're able to be more experimental now that they don't have to worry or put mind space to the data heavy parts of the role, which is now being taken care of by AI.
I think that's a great point. Yeah, and as you were saying that, I was kind of visualizing almost that marketscape that Scott Brinker does, the MarTech landscape, and he'll show, go back 15 years and there are a few brands in that space, and then today there's hundreds, thousands of those little brands on there doing every different type of MarTech, and it's expanded massively. In a similar way, to the point you were making, data, the data available to marketers has expanded exponentially as well over that same period. So now you've got so much access to so much data, but the challenge is, what do you do with it? And how can you actually get your head around what to do with it? Because if you could get your head around if you could figure out how to use it, it's really powerful to be able to do personalized marketing. And that sort of, that's the sort of holy grail of marketing, isn't it? That personalized marketing. We have the data to do it, but it's just hard to use because there's so much of it. And then your point around, well, actually, that's where these AI powered tools step in now, to be able to empower marketers to really make use of all that data they've got. So I wonder whether you could give us maybe some case studies or some examples that you've come across of either your customers or maybe in your agency where you've been able to do that. You've been able to get hold of some of that data and used AI powered tools to develop insights or marketing campaigns.
Yeah, absolutely. There's loads of examples. We have over 200 algos, we call them, that are, AI trained, continue to develop them, and are working across different clients, and producing phenomenal amounts of use cases and case studies. Two that come to mind. One is we we worked with a client where an algo who worked within a team. It was a strategy and operations team, and what the strategy and operations team do on a monthly basis is for the marketing team, is produce this really detailed, lengthy monthly marketing reports, right? And these reports were very very important to the to the CMO, right? This is the one report that the CMO would read and digest to help make plans for the next to see what's happening that month or the previous month and make plans moving forward. That monthly marketing report used to take or was taking 800 analyst hours to produce. 800 analyst hours. This is, data analysts, data scientists, the subject matter experts within the different marketing departments, because this was an all-encompassing report of how the entire marketing org is performing. So phenomenal amount of time. They would start doing the reports probably like the second week of the month, to produce it at the end of the month. So there was always a constant cycle of, trying to catch up to produce this. A few of our algos in that team did something, transformational. So they trained an LLM on how to produce this report, right? Trained the LLM as well on the data architecture, the data schema that the reports were pulling from, like the dashboards and the underlying data. So I did that training and actually trained it on how to do the reports. And not only that, also trained the LLM or the AI on how to convert those reports or insights into a data story within a presentation deck. So you would have within minutes or less than minutes, anyone being able to go into the tool, select a few segments. Like, I need a marketing report for the month, for this specific segment of our audience, and it will produce insights, and also creates a deck. Now, the key impact from that was not just the fact that it was, we were able to create insights. What was really solved there is there were now in those insights, the marketing leaders were now able to connect. They're able to connect insights across the funnel. Traditionally, when those insights were generated, and because of the amount of efforts done, you would get reports on different parts of the funnel, like, okay, for this specific parts of the funnel, for our conversions, this is what it looked like, we hit targets and so on. But it can only take a machine and that level of detail to really understand what were the primary drivers for a certain result, not just from a surface level, but really going deep across the funnel. So for example, they were able to see that because from the top of the funnel, the campaigns that went out to a specific audience did not target an audience, was not targeted enough to grab an audience that would usually have a higher order value or higher spend ratio. Because of that campaign, and because it didn't get enough impressions, these are things that happen at top of the funnel, that caused a specific region to not meet its targets when it came to creating opportunities or converting opportunities. So The decision there is that the leaders or the decision makers now knew how to adjust the top of the funnel campaigns to ensure that they met the targets the next quarter. So these types of what we call third degree insights were being made possible, that, analysts, no matter the number of analysts you put on, might not be able to uncover. And the automation of that on a monthly basis as well, saving 800 analyst hours into just a few minutes. It was
Great
quite
example.
profound.
I love that quantification of the 800 hours that you were able to save there. That's very tangible. But can you help us understand what that workflow actually looks like? Was that something which you have? Is that what an algo, to use your language, is that what an algo does? Or are you having to custom build workflows? And if you, either way, are you using some of your own software developers to create all of that workflow? Or are you using a sort of mixture of open source and some SaaS products? It would be useful just to understand what that looks like.
Absolutely. So we focus on, yes, there's two ways to do this. You can either go in and, build a project, get developers involved, and we've done that before, and, custom build a solution. And we found that way is not scalable. What we focus on is empowering individuals to be able to do this themselves. So we will support an algo with it could be either the expertise, the training, or even if it's getting subject matter experts on how to craft better prompts to help and train an AI how to be a data analyst. We support the individual, and in this case, an algo, to be able to do that. So yeah, just really focusing on enabling people to be able to build their own agents, for example. And we find that this is the way, this is the future, right? It's not really about going and creating tools and custom building tools. It's about helping individuals, being and empowering them enough for them to be able to create these sort of microservices or micro tools that would help them, with their work, to help them be more productive rather than trying to create a new process or a new tool.
Interesting. So your approach is creating those algos, which are almost off the shelf, but they're customizable enough for your customers to then be able to adapt them to their specific needs. And then that sort of accelerates their ability to be able to get those working. And it actually cuts back on any of the sort of risks they have about not really knowing who the best players or what the state of the art is for the technologies out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I say algo, an algo is a person, actually, not the tool. So we're empowering we call them algos, our people from Algo Marketing, but we're empowering the people to be able to build anything, right? And this is just one example. So we're empowering them to be able to spot opportunities that require, automation, that require the use of AI, and build it themselves. Whether they're creating prompt workflows that help solve the problem, or they're creating agents to do that using the likes of NA10 or Replit and all these tools, or even Gemini as well.
Okay, great. And thank you for clarifying there what you meant by those algos. So in terms of then looking at an organization, when you're working with them, what are some of the challenges you're finding when you approach an organization and they come to you and they're sort of saying, we need your help? What are the things that they come up with? Is it a challenge around trying to prove ROI? Is it about trying to get adoption? Is it about getting the management team on board? Talk us through some of those familiar challenges you have.
Yeah. There's two main challenges that our clients come to us with. One is just around growth. So they need talent. They need people in their organization to meet their targets, right? So in a world now where there's a lot of headcount freezes, there's a lot of layoffs, there's a lot of teams that are very lean, and they're being mandated to do more with less, right? Our clients come to us to say, hey, I can't hire anyone. We have a headcount freeze, but I have these targets. I need a very flexible way to get people, to get talent into my team, to meet my targets, to grow. And we're able to provide that, right? Because they don't have to hire people with us. They it's like a contingent workforce program, or we embed people, our talent, into the teams to work with them without them needing to hire. So it's kind of like a workaround to that. But most importantly, it's also the capability that the team gets in terms of having data savvy, AI literate people coming into their teams that are also able to do a lot more with less. Gone are the days where you have the budget to hire 5 people at the same time into your team to meet your targets. Now it's I can only hire one person, or if one flexible resource. So we're able to provide people that are able to do that. And the second key challenge or pain point is around AI adoption, is around how the team is making impact with AI. And a lot of organizations have been mandated from their CEOs or their C-level suites to ensure that they are using AI within the teams, or things like, with Accenture, where they're saying, retrain on AI or you're fired, right? As simple. So we have these various mandates, which is all around the individual needing to upskill themselves or show that they're able to adopt AI. And how we do that is we're able to inject an already AI proficient talent into your team, who will act as a change agent in that team. Not only are they're not there from themselves, they're actually there to sit side by side with each person in that team and show them a new way of working, show them, how they can, do things more effectively, do things quicker. And we found that this has been the most effective way in getting people to adopt AI, rather than training or trying to upskill, or rather than trying to introduce new tools. People are inspired by other people, and it takes someone to see something, a new way of doing something, for them to really get inspired by it, and actually it becomes a norm for them.
Yeah, no, I love that approach. When I was driving digital transformation in marketing teams like 10, 15 years ago, that was something that I also tried to do when I was in-housing. So I started to do some in-housing or programmatic media buying and social media and paid search. We were trying to transform a marketing team from being a sort of classic, really good team, but into a digital team. And to your point, the only way you could, or the most effective way to do that, was by bringing in really amazing digital experts and planting them in the team. And then everybody could learn from their approach and just the way the questions they were asking, the tools they were using, just the way they spoke about data and testing and learning. And then on top of that, we built all of the culture around the agile methodology and just having stand-ups. So bringing some of that in to really drive that transformation. So I love your approach there. And just to kind of sort of wrap things up a little bit, I mean, tell us a little bit more about how the talent works. So you've got a sort of a team of these people, these algos, who are part of your organization. If I'm a corporation or even a small business and I want to work with you, what's the typical engagement? Do they come on board part-time, full-time? Is it a contract? How does that look like?
Yeah. Good question. We have a variety of ways. We're very flexible in our approach on how anyone can partner with us. The most common way is that we embed talents into a team. That embedding process is a service contract, right? It's kind of like you're renting an algo, you're renting a person. So, you have a monthly subscription fee. You pay for that specific algo. And you can have them, they can be your team for as long as you want. So we have the average tenure of an algo within our clients today is around 4.5 years. So teams typically tend to leverage us for much longer term engagements where they need someone really, really embedded in the team, kind of that they're working hand to hand with, that is like one of them, right? So, and that's where our engagements typically lies. Yes, we also do work on a more of a short-term project basis where you need immediate capacity needs to fill capacity needs, or you need you've implemented, you have a mandate on AI adoption and you really want to see those numbers go up quickly. Teams will leverage us for a period of time to get their AI adoption up to a certain degree before moving on to others. But yes, it's typically that much more longer term engagement for a year, renewing on a sort of subscription basis.
Fantastic. And it can be part-time as well, can it? You could put people in for kind of fractional work into the teams.
Correct. Yes. We put in people, and we have this really entrepreneurial culture where we promote something we call algo side hustles, which is basically our side gigs, where an existing algo is able to work, take 20% of the time working with another client or on another project on a fractional or part-time basis, sort of transferring knowledge, or best practice from one area to another, but also giving them the ability to network as well and have a bigger network in their organizations.
Which is great, that cross-pollination of knowledge and ideas from different industries, different companies, obviously with the commercial sensitivity, but I think it's the technologies and the tools that you can definitely learn a lot from working in different organizations. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We've covered a lot of ground there, I think, in terms of that bigger question about skills and talent and what are the things that people need to understand about how to apply AI in their business. And then we've got into the deep examples from your company's background of where you've been able to help with some of that transition by putting your people, your algos, into teams, and really the benefit of that flexibility, being able to sort of land that expertise straight into a team that'll help with that transformation and upskill the whole team, as well as delivering some ROI. So Yomi, it's been great to have you on the podcast today. Thank you very much for joining us.
I really appreciate it, Tim. Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed the conversation. Although, as I mentioned, it was unexpected, but it actually became a very, really interesting conversation that we've had. Thank you.
And I should have asked, actually, how can we stay in touch with you, and what's the best way to find out more about your work?
Yeah, I'm available on various media. I'm on LinkedIn. My name, Yomi Tejumola on LinkedIn. I think that's one of the best ways to stay in touch with what I'm doing. Or you can visit our website, algomarketing.com, to hear or see more about what we're doing. Some of the case studies and a lot more case studies you would find on our website as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And I look forward to getting you more involved in what we're doing in the marketing and creative and advertising space as well. But until the next one, good to have you. Thanks, Yomi.
Thanks, Tim.